Before we start this review, we need a couple of caveats. What we're looking at is a prototype version of the game, and some elements may be subject to change. The images used in this review were taken at the UK Games Expo 2017 demo stand, and therefore they might not be of the highest quality. If you'd like a different overview of the game, then stay tuned. After the review, I challenge Mike Nudd, the designer, to describe the game in a minute or less. Dice Hospital is a worker placement game for 2 to 4 players. Patients are represented by dice, and each player's hospital can hold 12 patients. At the start of the round, each player will consecutively choose an ambulance. This will add 3 patients to their hospital. If you don't have space for them, you'll have to choose which patients go to the morgue. Next, you get to choose upgrades. Player order was decided by which ambulance you took. The sicker the patients, the sooner you choose. Treatment rooms generally offer more powerful options, while specialists allow you to treat more dice per turn. To activate a treatment room, place a worker in there. Each room can only be activated once per turn and will increase the health of 1 or more dice of the corresponding colour or value. As well as providing an additional worker, each specialist can treat more dice or have a greater influence on health. Putting a specialist in the correct room could be a powerful combo. All the affected dice are moved to the treated section of the ward, except any dice that have gone beyond 6, because they're placed in the discharge room. Now, any dice that were left untreated, their health deteriorates and their value falls by 1. Hitting 0 means the patient dies and that die goes to the morgue. And that's the end of the round. Points are scored for the dice in the discharge room. You may have also picked up bonus points for curing specific dice, but these are difficult to plan for because they're randomised each round. Cured dice are returned to the bag, ambulances are repopulated, the start player moves on and they now have first choice. After a fixed number of rounds, the final scores are reckoned by deducting a point for each dice in your morgue. There isn't a huge amount of player interactivity, but there is opportunity to take the advantage and maybe thwart other people's plans, especially if you're willing to take the sickest patients. So should you play this game? Absolutely, especially if, like me, it triggers your nostalgia for a certain video game. The theme is great fun, and with concurrent actions, it doesn't outstay its welcome. Should you buy this game? The artwork is great, and the theme is solid. With relatively short gameplay and easy-to-grasp rules, I can see this being a gateway worker placement game, and probably deserves a place in many collections.
This is Dice Hospital, a strategy game where you're scoring by healing patients in your hospital. Every player controls a different hospital. There's a bit of worker placement where you've got nurses and doctors that can go to different departments to heal different types of patients. But the patients are your dice. The patient value dictates their current health level, so the low is bad, high is good, and every time you heal them, you'll be raising them up steps to try and discharge them from your hospital and score them. If they go to a 6, 6 to a 7 is what discharges them, and that lets you score. If they're 1s and they go below 1, then they'll die and go to your morgue. You've got a limited number of actions, a limited number of heals. Anyone who doesn't get treated will actually drop a value because they've been neglected. That's something you've got to watch out for. Every turn you'll be taking new patients in from the ambulances in the centre of the table. The number of the ambulance you pick will dictate your turn order for choosing upgrades and scoring points. But the ambulance number 1 will have the worst patients in it, all the way through to the highest ambulance that will have the least bad patients in it. You can upgrade your hospitals every turn, either take more departments or take more workers. We play a set number of turns and score how many you've healed at the end.